Hello and welcome to Talk to Al Jazeera. President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo has led the Philippines since taking over from ousted former President Joseph Erap Estrada after a people's revolution in January 2001. Since then, the daughter of the late Philippine President Diosdado Macapagal and classmate of former US President Bill Clinton has found out just how hard it is to hold on to power. There have been impeachment proceedings, wiretapping scandals, allegations of corruption against her family. The list goes on. The next year is likely to be another struggle for survival for Arroyo. Marga Ortigas reports.
After 4 days of street protests, People Power 2 culminated in Gloria Macapagal Arroyo becoming the Philippines' second woman president. It was a jubilant time. Filipinos were proud of having ousted another government accused of corruption. But that was almost 6 years ago. The sound on the streets is different today. This man said Gloria was useless, that she doesn't govern very well, she's wishy-washy and should be changed. This woman said that she used to be in favor of Arroyo, but she doesn't like her anymore. According to local surveys, Gloria Arroyo is now the most unpopular president the country has had. Despite an economic resurgence during her term, she's faced numerous coup attempts and has been dogged by questions regarding the legitimacy of her presidency. There were reports of massive cheating in the 2004 elections, and people have come forward saying they were part of her election rigging.
She is not a very easy person to like. The crown rests very heavily on her head. It's a very uneasy position.
Made even more uncomfortable by her close ties to the U.S. government, a fact that hasn't gone down very well locally. She is President Bush's closest ally in Southeast Asia in his war on terror. But no attempt by the opposition to organize another People Power protest has succeeded.
The fact that she has survived means that the situation in the Philippines is not as messy as people like to make it believe, to make others believe. I think that's the case. If it were really that messy, the people would get very upset. They haven't. At least, you know, they haven't put their money where their mouth is.
But Filipinos may just do that in 2007. Elections will be held mid-year. President Arroyo's critics say her government may not last 12 more months. There's already been a church-backed public outcry over her administration's attempts to change the Constitution, seen here as a move reminiscent of the Marcos dictatorship, so that President Arroyo could extend her hold on power.
It has been actually a very good year for the Filipinos because they have shown time and time again that they are not going to be bamboozled.
But Arroyo is determined to perform, so it looks like another year of battles ahead for her and her people. A weak and splintered opposition hasn't been able to offer an alternative, and many Filipinos, if not apathetic, are now exhausted. This woman says all she wants in 2007 is a better life for her family. And that's all most Filipinos are hoping for, with or without President Arroyo. Marga Ortigas, Al Jazeera, Manila.
In a wide-ranging interview with Al Jazeera this week, Mrs. Arroyo defended her record on human rights and in the mainly Muslim south of the country. She told me she's very aware of the challenges facing her government.
The last time we talked was 2 years ago, and I see that the sense I get from you is you're more assured than you were at that time, despite all the challenges that you've faced. Is that fair enough? Would you say that that is the situation for you right now?
Well, I said that the past years have brought challenges, but they have also brought great triumphs to the Filipino people. I'm just an instrument of the things that have to happen to the Filipino people for us to move forward. And I'm very glad that we've turned the economy around. The credit rating agencies realized that the new revenue sources are here for good. We will be moving towards a balanced budget. The stock market is up. The peso is strong. This now allows us to invest in people and infrastructure. It allows us to invest in education, in health, in creating good jobs. These are the things we need. We need to lift up the lives of our people from poverty, and we are spending them on a scale not seen in a whole generation.
But Madam President, has it come at a cost? There are some people who are comparing the human rights record in the sense of killings that are being categorized as political killing as comparable to record under the previous Marcos regime. What do you say to that?
Well, I deplore killings. Whether they are perpetrated by the left or the right, they are wrong, especially the killings of journalists and political activists. You're right, we have had a sorry history of political violence in our country for more than a generation now. I would like that to stop once and for all. That is why I have asked former Justice Melo to examine the situation and to come up with recommendations that perhaps I can use to help end the problem once and for all.
Are you committed to seeing them all the way through to find the real perpetrators?
We need to find the perpetrators. And that's the reason why, aside from the work that I'm doing with the Melo Commission and also with the task force of the police that was put together by the police to look for the perpetrators of the actual cases, I am guided by certain principles. First, we have to isolate and eliminate the violent New People's Army and Abu Sayyaf terrorists. And then we have to track and record every claim for human rights and to share the findings with the public. And then we have to protect the political targets, the victims and their families, and we have to accelerate the reform, the structural reform of the armed forces and the police and other groups so that renegade elements will not be able to act. Now, of course, the fine details of all of this will depend on the findings of the Melo Commission.
I noticed that you said that you deplored killings by the left and the right.
Yes.
What about the military? What about the
police?
Well,
that would be included in what they generally call the right. And so, as I said, whoever is the perpetrator, they must be brought to justice. We have brought certain renegade policemen and soldiers to justice. Some of them are in jail. But really, in the long term, what I would like to do is I would like to be able to reverse this legacy of political violence in our country that has been here for more than a generation and have instead a legacy of a violence-free political culture. And so we have to work not only on solving each and every case, which I would really like to do and to share the findings with the public, but also to be guided by the 4 principles that I mentioned earlier.
Violence-free political culture. That leads me to the elections that are due in May. In the Philippines, they always talk about guns, goons, and gold being what Philippine elections are about. How are you going to make sure that these elections are free and fair and, as you say, as violence-free as possible?
The most important thing is to accelerate the reforms of the military, the police, and other groups, so that they can, in fact, have a minimal number, and if possible, no one of the renegade elements acting. And speaking of the elections, I would like to say that the elections are about the future. They're about whether we want to continue the economic reforms, to clean the environment, to expand healthcare, to invest more in education, to create good jobs. In any case, during the elections, I will continue to do my work.
Some people say the elections, though, are also a barometer of confidence in you. And
well,
they'll be watching the Arroyo administration's conduct, particularly in light of the accusations that were flying around a couple of years ago.
Certainly, we want to promote credible elections, yes. And as I said, I think my appointments to the Commission on Elections have been quite well received over the past 2 years, and we're accelerating the reforms of the armed forces, the police, and other groups. And again, the elections will be about the future and whether they want to continue with economic reforms, to clean the environment, to promote education, health, and create good jobs.
So do you guarantee that you have done or you will do everything you can to make those elections free, fair, and credible.
Yes, everything we can do, yes, that's right.
I'd also like to ask you about the situation in Mindanao.
Yes.
In the last week, the Philippines military has eliminated 2 high-profile targets.
The highest.
The highest.
Yes.
Abu Sulaiman and, of course, Gaddafi Janjalani.
Yes.
But some people in the Muslim community are worried about the militarization of Sulu province, that it might turn Sulu into another Iraq or another small Afghanistan.
You know, that's one of the things that I want to share with the world. And in fact, I took the opportunity during the ASEAN Summit, during the opening remarks, and other subsequent meetings to share with the world, with the region, the paradigm of our peace process in Mindanao. While hard power has fallen short of expectations the world over, in the Philippines we have a unique combination of soft and hard power. We have melded together a combination or confidence-building measures that are focused on interfaith dialogue and cultural awareness, on economic and infrastructure development, and on mutual security arrangements in addressing the peace in Mindanao. And most notably, I would say also, we are working with a very wide spectrum of organizations and nations like Sweden, the UN, Malaysia, the US, Japan, Libya, the OIC countries.
But critics say that 10 years after the 1996 agreement with the MNLF, mainly Muslim areas of the Philippines still have the lowest human development indices in the country, and they have yet to see the dividends of peace.
On the other hand, many of them have graduated also from the 10 poorest province list, like Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Lanao del Sur, Basilan. They're no longer in the 10 poorest provinces list. In fact, Sulu used to be the poorest province of all. It doesn't even belong to the bottom 10 anymore. And you should see the difference in the lives of the people in Sulu and Basilan, very, very patent.
But what I want to ask is where the peace process is at the moment. Every time there's a new round, we hear that we're closer to a final agreement, but we're not there yet. So what is the actual situation?
Let's put it this way. There's peace on the ground. There's peace on the ground for almost 4 years now. And the actual peace agreement is about the political settlement. But, and we'd like the political settlement to be as ideal as possible. But no matter whether it's going to be April, November, or next year, the thing is there's been peace on the ground and it's holding. It's been successful. And it's been successful because, as I said, we have used this paradigm of soft and hard power working with the broadest coalition possible. This broad coalition has been able to keep the peace. It's been able to isolate the genuine security threats, and it's been able to uplift the lives of the people, Christians and Muslims alike in these areas.
Philippine President Gloria Arroyo on talk to Al Jazeera. When we return, the Philippine leader talks to us about her aims as chair of Southeast Asia's key regional grouping and her belief that free trade is the best way forward for development in Asia.